Now, maybe I ought to add that the husband and incidents portrayed in that picture are entirely fictitious. Isn't that the way they say it when they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings? You know, it might not do any harm at that if more husbands could see that picture. Well, anyway, remember when I said that we Hotpoint people are really working for you to make homemaking easier? Well, I meant that, every word of it. And we think maybe you'd like to see some of the interesting sidelights of our job of making your job easier. So we've made another picture that takes you behind the scenes of Hotpoint to show you some of the thinking and planning and craftsmanship that goes into our products. Maybe some things you never thought about before. Now, bear in mind, we're not posing as know-it-alls, like that fellow Tupper. But we do our level best, and maybe we're just a little proud of our jobs. All right, on with the show.
Man works from sun to sun, but woman's work is never done. Or is it? Mrs. Modern America still holds the biggest and most important job in life, but now she also has time to live. She's a better homemaker than her mother or her grandmother, and years younger for her age. Bright-eyed, chin up, she's the living expression of the promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, fulfilled by modern science. The modern housekeeper probably would laugh at the idea that she is the emancipated woman. It seems as if it's always been this way. Yet, not so many years ago, hardly more than a single generation. This was life with Mother. Woman's place was in the home. In fact, she was practically a prisoner in the home. Somebody was arguing about equal suffrage, votes for women. Mother didn't know much about that, didn't have time to study the question. In fact, she didn't have time for much of anything except her job. She had heard that homemaking was the biggest job in the world. Maybe it was. Certainly it was the toughest. Three or 4 hours to prepare the family dinner, preparing for 1 hour with her family, the bright spot of the day. Then 3 more hours of work, cleaning up. Finally, her day was done, and at last she was free. Free to enjoy the companionship of the master of the house.
Oh, me? Asleep? Why, of course not. Just thinking.
Of course, dear.
10 o'clock. I can understand what you women do with your time. No system, no organization. Why don't you run your house like I run my business? So you can get through at a reasonable hour.
Oh, can you answer that? Tell him.
Yes, dear.
You have to smile when you speak of the good old days. Nevertheless, it was the beginning of the golden age of progress. Men with dreams built a carriage that ran without a horse, and it ran away with America. Men with courage and vision built a crazy kite and rode it up into the sky. They harnessed rivers and shot their energy along shining wires, singing wires to serve America. We learned to turn a switch for power to run factories, elevators, and streetcars. Turn a switch for light in offices, in shops, and in homes. After a while, this miraculous new servant began to assume some of the burdens of housework.
Come in. Good morning, Martha. No, I just popped over to... Oh, one of those newfangled irons. Yes, a birthday present from myself, to myself. Well, now, isn't that nice? But some folks say those electric irons don't amount to much. Of course, I suppose they do save steps. But some folks say that the point cools off. And anyone knows you can't iron real good unless the iron has a hot point.
But this iron has a hot point. It's made to do the job right. Look, they even named it the Hotpoint iron. If you want the right kind, look for that name, Hotpoint.
Thus was founded a name and a reputation. From the very beginning, women learned to look for that mark as assurance of usefulness. From the beginning, Hotpoint products paced the acceptance of electric appliances in the American home. For a full generation, the phrase, "Look for the name Hotpoint," attained greater significance until it became the homemaker's byword and a tradition.
Less work and more freedom. Fiddle-dee-dee. Why don't they do something about the kitchen stove? Why don't they make an electric stove? Sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? Someday they'll do it. You'll see.
There you are, Mr. Hughes, and you can be proud of it, too. Give it the works, you said, and we did.
And it stood up?
Perfect. I defy any man who knows his ohms and watts to find a fault. I say it's perfect.
Mac, can you broil a good tender steak? Did you ever cook a dinner for 5 in a hurry?
What?
Can you brown a pie crust?
Now, look, Mr. Hughes, I'm an electrician, and a good one, but I'm no housewife.
Well, neither am I. But right now, I almost wish I were.
I don't know what you're talking about. But just ask me anything about the resistance coils and...
Mac, we're developing something more than resistance coils and switches. We're developing quicker, better meals, clean kitchens, hours of leisure for women in the homes. We're not selling kilowatt hours of current. We're selling a better way of life.
We've got plenty to think about here in the lab.
We've got to think of the person the other side of the meter, the woman in the kitchen. We believe this is a better tool of housekeeping. How much better is it? How well does it fit the job?
I guess I just don't know.
Nor I. But we're going to find out.
With these? Well, Mr. Hughes, what we need is better research equipment, a bigger lab, the best technical staff in this business.
Right. And that technical staff will include housekeeping engineers as well as electrical engineers.
If I didn't know you were a teetotaler, I'd say...
Mac, we're pioneering a new way of life. We can't guess. We've got to have all the answers. We built this range to provide better meals with less effort. All right, we're going to cook a meal.
What?
And what's more, we're going to eat it.
Oh, no. Now, wait a minute.
History does not record the success of that electric meal. Perhaps it's just as well. But out of the determination of George Hughes, father of the electric range, developed a great scientific laboratory of better living. Trained technicians in the science of modern homemaking, using all the skills and tools of science to advance the standards of household arts year after year. The modest little shop in which the father of the electric range began his experiments has grown to a mighty industry. And the name of Hotpoint now stands over the world's largest producers of electric ranges, dishwashers, and water heaters. In addition to these Chicago plants, Hotpoint products are manufactured in Bridgeport, Connecticut, in Schenectady, New York, in Erie, Pennsylvania, and Fort Wayne, Indiana. Hotpoint homes are truly representative of all America, varying from the White House, official home of the President of the United States, to low-income housing projects in which split penny economy of operation is of paramount importance. It is indeed significant that the largest single order for electric ranges ever placed called for more than 8,000 Hotpoint ranges to be installed in housing developments all over America. And in America's first line of defense, Hotpoint is virtually standard equipment aboard the mighty battleships, cruisers, destroyers, and even the submarines, where safety, efficiency, and dependability are important beyond price. Hotpoint is doing its bit, and Hotpoint is proud to be drafted to serve, proud to be able to measure up to the exacting standards which have made our Navy ship for ship, gun for gun, and man for man, the finest in the world. A significant example of this Hotpoint all-around leadership in thinking and doing is the Calrod unit, greatest single development in the history of electric cooking. It looks simple, but it represents more than 200 man-years of engineering effort. And when perfected, it revolutionized the industry. The heart of the Calrod unit is the heating element, surrounded by magnesium oxide powder, which is both an ideal conductor of heat and a non-conductor of electricity. These are tightly compressed and centered within an Inconel tube and permanently sealed against air or moisture with heat-resisting glass at the terminal points. Stated in briefest terms, that's the Calrod unit, developed at a cost of more than $1 million. Thus, laboratory precision was interpreted into terms of amazing volume production efficiency and economy. As a result, the Hotpoint Calrod unit, with all its revolutionary advantages, actually cost the housewife less to own and to operate than the old-fashioned type which the Calrod unit has displaced. Many are the avenues to improvement, some interesting, some dull to watch, but all are important. For instance, this engineer is testing the comparative efficiency of the Calrod unit and open flame. It's pretty hard to detect waste heat with the naked eye, but in shadowgraph, the difference is readily apparent. Look at those waves of open flame heat escaping around the test subject on the right. That's waste heat and waste money. The Calrod unit transmits its heat directly to the cooking utensil without noticeable loss. The Calrod unit scores first in speed and efficiency by a wide margin. But that isn't all. Engineers will tell you that flame cooking actually devitalizes the air as much as if the room were crowded with people. And these engineers aren't guessing. They know the answers. Who sets the pattern for these designers of better living? Who interprets the needs and demands of homemakers? Well, who is better qualified than homemakers themselves? They may not know much about engineering, but they know what they want, and the easiest way to find out what they want is to ask them.
Is there such a thing as foolproof cooking? I want a range that's simple and easy to use. I can't seem to remember to watch a lot of gadgets, and I don't know what to watch for anyway, much.
That cook breaks everything she gets her hands on. You've got to watch out for her.
Cooking is a fine art. It demands precise care, accurate heat, accurate timing, and accuracy of ingredients. You give me accurate heat and timing, and I'll vouch for the rest.
I can't stand a messy kitchen, but things will boil over. So make it easy to clean, especially the heat units. When I buy a range, it'll have to last us a good long time. Everything has to last us a long time. So build it to last, and last, and last.
The inexperienced beginner wants simplified, foolproof cooking. So engineers gave her automatic control that almost thinks for her. With Hotpoint timing control, she can follow kitchen-proved recipes, set the timer according to the indicated cooking period, and forget it. Her Hotpoint will remember. For the housewife with the careless cook, Hotpoint engineers provided ample margin of overstrength to stand abuse. Because she would slam down pots and pans on the porcelain work surface, they developed a porcelain finish capable of enduring greater abuse than it would ever receive in normal use. Because they knew the careless cook would drop utensils on the Calrod, they made the Calrod strong enough to stand up under heavy hammer blows. To suit the critical demands of the master of cooking craft, engineers developed temperature control of amazing accuracy. So sensitive is this control that the temperature will never vary from the required baking heat, and so sturdily designed and built that after a concentrated fatigue test equal to well over 15 years of normal home operation, the thermostat still retains 99% of its original accuracy. Every woman hates a messy range, and so Hotpoint engineers made the Calrod unit easiest of all to keep clean. If a cooking utensil boils over, the coil instantly burns itself clean. The reflector pan also acts as a spillage receiver and cleans as easily as a pie tin. Long life, freedom from maintenance expense. What housewife doesn't demand those qualities in the range she buys? To meet that demand, Hotpoint engineers crowd years of normal wear into weeks and days of intensified testing. Here are Calrod units picked at random from production being deliberately run to death under exaggerated conditions of torture. This breakdown test is too severe to be accepted as standard by the industry, and no wonder. No other competitive manufacturer's unit yet developed has been able to withstand this test as long as the Hotpoint Calrod unit. In home use, switches will be operated perhaps a dozen times a day. So to make sure that they will last and last and last, production samples are given a standard test of 60,000 cycles at 200 degrees temperature, equal to more than 15 years of severe service. The critical standards of engineering control follow every step in production, in material specifications, and methods of fabrication. For long life, the chassis of the range is welded together into a single unit, no bolts to loosen, rattle, and jiggle. For long life, the range drawers are stamped from a single piece of tough steel. For long life, engineering control follows each step of the porcelain enameling process. The result, a 90% reduction in chipping on finished ranges. Engineering control extends even to the scientific matching of panels. This reflectometer, infinitely more critical than the most sensitive human eye, detects color variations as slight as 1%. On the final assembly line, engineering control, combined with skilled craftsmanship, assures laboratory precision in every part of the finished range. Every feature of performance and control is checked and double-checked. Perhaps it seems overcritical caution. Perhaps it is. But to make good with housewives, Hotpoint makes doubly sure in its plants. That same degree of exacting scrutiny, the same capacity for taking infinite pains, goes into every electric home appliance that bears the Hotpoint name. Merely to design an electric water heater was not enough. There had to be years of painstaking research into such obscure subjects as scaling, stratification, and the thermal efficiency of various shapes and sizes of heating elements. But out of that determination to know all the answers has grown a product which is first in performance and first in sale. In fact, on that same premise of learning all the answers, they are advancing toward the ideal home of the future. In the modern Hotpoint kitchen, there is no garbage pail nor any need for one. All food waste, vegetable parings, leftovers from dinner, even heavy meat bones, are whisked away by the practical magic of this waste exit. There can be no garbage odors to filter through the house and draw flies, for food waste is disposed of at once, as simply as draining the sink. Who washes the dishes in the home of tomorrow? Not the housewife. Any experienced housekeeper will recognize these as the world's dirtiest dishes. Mutton fat, bacon grease, egg yolk, jam stains, enough to spoil an evening and the best disposition. But today, modern homemaking science has taken over that long-despised chore. The modern housewife merely slides the rack of dishes into the Hotpoint dishwasher, loads the detergent cup with a spoonful of wonder-working calgonite, closes the door, presses a button, and as far as she's concerned, the job is done. She is free to do as she pleases. Automatically, the dishwasher performs the complete cycle of washing. First, a scalding water rinse, hotter than human hands could stand, flushing easily removable food particles down the drain. Next, 4 1/2 quarts of scalding wash water, fortified by the magic cleansing agent calgonite, is propelled around the dishes and silverware at the rate of 60 gallons per minute, gently but thoroughly washing away the most stubborn food soil. After draining, another 10-second spray rinse follows to flush out the residue of washing. This is followed by another overall washing rinse, which is drained off to be followed by another spray rinse, and the final general rinsing. Probably not one housewife in 100 rinses her dishes as many times, and certainly none does it as effectively. After the final rinse is drained off, a Calrod unit automatically attains the drying temperature, while the washing impeller acts as a fan, circulating the heated air for rapid, thorough drying. And when the dishes are dried, the dishwasher automatically turns itself off. Dishes are ready for the housewife when she is ready for them. Not so long ago, automatic dishwashing was a flight of fancy. Today, it is a fact. Tomorrow, the all-electric kitchen will be accepted as the right of every modern housewife. For Hotpoint is still focusing its eyes on the other side of the meter, creating finer home appliances to create a finer standard of living for all the family. In the future, as in the past, Hotpoint will advance its leadership by pioneering new progress, extending a tradition enriched by a lifetime of service to Her Majesty, the American homemaker.